Hello, my name is Michael Goodman. I am a transfer student to the University of Utah. I'm a double major in English and Writing and Rhetoric Studies. And kind of the point of this video is to kind of give like a personal testimonial without a script, just kind of talking student to student, kind of about like what happened to me this semester, the transformation that I kind of underwent as a writer and as a writing and rhetoric studies major, because this was like kind of my first semester that I actually had a class involved in my that was involved in my new major. So kind of a lot happened. So I'm just going to talk a little bit about that and a couple things that I found helpful and that I wish that I knew before the semester and before in my previous institution, because I'm from California, so I'm not only am I a transfer student, but I went to school at Cal State Northridge in LA. So I was just, when I first got here, I was just completely lost. I didn't know, I still have only been to probably a fourth of the campus at the University of Utah. And before, I didn't know how to engage in any resources. I wasn't involved in anything. Just all around, I was kind of lost. I was really happy to be at the University of Utah, and but I just didn't feel like a student at the U yet. I just felt like kind of a transfer student that was kind of wandering around. So first, I'm going to talk about kind of my transformation or my metamorphosis as a writer. So in Dr. Christy Toth's class, Writing 3020, Write for You, it's really geared towards transfer students kind of, integrating and kind of learning what effective writing looks like in their discipline, kind of engaging in resources on the campus. And before this semester, I'd kind of always, I wrote towards the prompt. I didn't really care about, what I mean by that is I didn't really care about, my values or my identity as a writer or any of that stuff. It just was irrelevant. If I had a prompt in school, I'd write completely geared towards that prompt, ignore how I really felt about that prompt, and use the best evidence that was made that prompt easy. I just regurgitate out, text and whatever values that I needed to speak in that voice, if that makes any sense. Whatever would make the assignment easy, that's what I wrote, instead of kind of writing towards what I actually felt. And this semester I really learned not only how to write as Michael and kind of integrate what I actually believe into my writing, but also I learned, that I actually like expository writing. I like this kind of writing. Before this semester, I was really geared towards, I love creative writing. That's the only kind of writing I like. I like to analyze literature. I'm an English guy. This other side of writing, this more professional or business or expositional or persuasive, because rhetoric, roughly translates to the art of persuasive or effective writing, so it's very broad, but that kind of writing wasn't for me, I'd assumed. And this semester, I was kind of proven wrong. I really realized that not only is this type of writing necessary, but there's a lot you can do with it, and it's kind of cool. When it was kind of funny is with my first assignment, we had an interview project, so I kind of had to, interview professor, get out of my comfort zone, and do all this stuff. And, I wasn't even thinking about how I felt about, what I talked about, that Parlor metaphor. I wasn't even, considering that, hey, maybe there are people that should be speaking in the Parlor that aren't really allowed to. And, after getting a lot of workshop feedback, another thing that I mentioned was really important from my professor, Dr. Christy Toth, I kind of realized that, well, hey, I think that more people should have a voice, and I can actually, as a student and as someone in writing and rhetoric studies, I can do things that and become involved that actually might at some point give more students a voice in the Parlor. That is to say, I could get involved in projects that I'm currently involved in because of this semester that allow transfer students to, maybe get a little bit more motivated to integrate into the University of Utah. Won't be as lost as I was in the beginning. We'll get involved in these projects. We'll get involved in, undergraduate peer-reviewed style kind of journals that they do research projects, so that gets them exposed to the Parlor and to how academics works, so that they can actually do something. They can eventually bring about change. Because if you really want to change the way academia is, what I've learned, thanks to Christy again, is that you kind of have to work from within. If you want to change the Parlor and you want it not to be such a older white male dominated kind of institution, you kind of got to get in and say something. You got to get in, get involved, participate. You can't just wag your finger and say, hey, I'm going to change everything, and ignore decades and generations of the way institutions, especially academia, work. So I guess that brings me to get involved, because, I never have been involved in anything academic or anything extracurricular besides some sports and stuff in high school and a little bit here and there. And I never really, especially in college though, I've never been involved in anything extracurricular. It's just uncomfortable for me to go out of my comfort zone and talk to professors and to engage. But, luckily I had a really good professor, and Dr. Christy taught, it was really easy and accessible to talk to. And it kind of spurred me getting involved, and I'm a lot more willing to get involved. But you're not going to get involved and to engage in these resources unless you break that ice and you start. So that interview project that I was talking about kind of got me involved, to break that ice. But now I'm involved in kind of like a transfer student initiative program that eventually will be a book. It's headed by Dr. Christy Toth. We're going to be working with, students at Salt Lake Community College to kind of get better integrated into, college, university writing levels, and kind of understanding a lot of the things that I learned how to understand this semester. So, I'm going to be continuing involvement in that. So now I'm the undergraduate research kind of center at the University of Utah. I applied there, and now I'm going to be making money to do something I love. Going to the career center, going to the library, going to do homework and do office hours with your professor. Like, this stuff really helps. It doesn't just help, your grades. It helps you how you approach your discipline, whether, if you're a writing and rhetoric studies major, if you engage in the writing and rhetoric studies like resources and go to the office and talk to these people, it starts to feel like you're really a student at the U. It starts to feel like you're part of a family. It starts to feel like you're part of your major, which is really important. I mean, I had a really rough time this semester. Things were kind of, chaotic in my life, but because I had that involvement, I was able to kind of hang on, and I'm going to continue to be involved, and I'm excited, it's making me reevaluate. I went from this guy that, I'll do some creative writing in my life forever, find some other job that I might not be as passionate about and kind of get by. But now I'm reevaluating, I'm like, hey, I really like this type of writing. I really like getting involved. I really like the idea that I could, at some point, help transfer students be a little bit less lost than I was, and to get involved and to find their passion, because I'm actually finding that I am passionate about writing and rhetoric studies, but I would have never found that out if I didn't get involved and I didn't acknowledge the fact that even as a student, which is sometimes you feel powerless as a student, we have a voice. We matter. We are the future Parlor. All those people that came before us are not always going to be around. So if we want positive change, and, if we basically have to define the change that we want. We have to take the actions in order to, give more people opportunities in the Parlor, and yada yada. I'm going to not be on my soapbox, but just, I don't know, get out there, have your transformation like I did, enjoy the fact that you're at an amazing university that does a ton of research, that is always looking to give, students money and to always have students involved. And they love seeing that. Your professor is going to love seeing you get involved, and you're going to love it a lot more than you would think that you would. I never would have seen myself getting involved. I never would have seen myself as a paid intern. I never would have seen myself possibly going to conferences and presenting to rooms of academics in Portland and other things to come. So, if there's one huge takeaway that I can kind of give you, that sure, there's these tips for effective writing and rhetoric studies, but I don't know, you're not going to really develop as a writer in this major unless you get involved in these different activities, get published, get involved in any program you can, go to the Europe and try to get a research internship, because it's pretty powerful getting paid to do something like this, academics like wise, to get paid as an intern to write. Like, that was a really cool sensation that really empowered me as a writer to be like, hey, maybe I can find a career path or find something that I can use this for the rest of my life and be happy with. So that's all before I go into too much, personal value-oriented things or the soapbox of preaching how we need to all make a difference. But I appreciate you for listening, and this is Michael Goodman. Take care.